This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Tea Time champion, Theo Ivory, and you are now listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Oh, well, hello, and welcome to the show at Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web, interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Wednesday and Tuesdays now on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, James J. And we should be having Kuliko Yachts join us a little later. And it is a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with, he is one half of the WWA Tag Team Champions, the Tea Time Champion, the King of Tea, the new 1DP Imperial Champion. Take a knee for Theo 3 belts, Ivory.
Hello. That was a great introduction. I might have to put you on the payroll for that one.
Hey, you know how to reach me. We could discuss wages at another date.
I have my people call your people.
Yes, I have no people, but they could talk to me.
Even better, no middleman.
Yeah, that's how I like to do it anyway. So, yeah, a long introduction today. What's coming up next for, the DO3 belts?
Woo! So literally, we're doing a really, really, really big show for CZW. On August 20th, it's at the Oval in Philadelphia, which is like a really, really big deal. It's a free show for all fans, so that's great. The Dome is, from what I'm hearing, it's like an incredible venue, so like this is a really big deal for us. After that, on the 27th, I have a tag title defense with 3WA. I think this is gonna be our fifth title defense, I think. Yeah, our fourth or fifth. I think it's fifth, but I could be wrong. It's fourth or fifth. And I do believe the next date for the 1DP show, which stands for One Division Pro, I do believe that tentative date is September 30th. So that'll be my first defense of that championship. So quite a few things to look forward to.
You got a busy schedule. But I mean, when you have two titles, that's expected, right?
I think people expect it, but when it actually happens, it's like, whoa. It's like thinking it is one thing, but when it actually happens and you actually have to, go through the motions and, go through the whole, just getting used to it. It's like, it all happens very quickly because once you win that title, it's like your life literally changes.
Right. And can you tell us where we can find you on social media, merchandise, everything we need to know about Theo Ivory?
Yeah, so for Instagram and Twitter, It's _Theo Ivory. That's THEE_ Ivory. And in the bio of each of those profiles, excuse me, I have a link. It takes you to a platform called All My Links.
Yes.
So it gives you the link to my Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, my merch store, and then also the Amazon link for my 2 books. So that's a great place for you to find everything. Hopefully, I should have my website up soon. So, then things will be even more streamlined.
Alright, and of course, all of those links will be in the description of your video below. No need to go looking for it, just simply click the link and we'll be there.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's get into it. As we've been talking, you're the 1DP Imperial Champion. Can you tell us about the match and the moment and everything that came with it? Because I'm assuming that was a big moment for your career.
Yeah, wow, it was wild. Whew. Yeah, so Hyena Hex and I, that was the third match that we had. The first match was a tournament final, and I was injured going into that match. We did it like an injury angle. I was like, oh, I was hurt. So that's the story that we went with for that angle, and how he won the championship. And then that was I think May of last year, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was June of last year. And then with COVID and everything, we weren't able to run any shows. So we came back June 4th. They were like, okay, Hex has held the title for a year, and it's kind of like a year of like, okay, I want this match, I want this rematch, and then we finally had it. Fortunately, the referee was down for the count when he needed to be up, so
Yes.
Hex walked away with that win, but they were like, all right, we're going to do this last Train to Paris match where it's going to be winner take all. And no matter who wins, there's going to be no rematches. So that was a lot of pressure because...
And you had to put on up the Tea-Time Championship.
Yeah, it wasn't even that, though. I mean, that was like a stressful part of it, but the most stressful thing was the match that we had on June 4th. It was a very well received match. It was a match that I think proved to a lot of people, and even to myself, that I can wrestle. Like, I can do this. So knowing that we had that really, really good second match, the crowd was so hot and so into it. It was a lot of pressure for the third time around because it's like, all right, we got to top that one and make this match unique to what it was. So it was no DQ, so there were like weapons involved. It was just a lot more physical, which is what I think we were both going for. We wanted it to be more physical, to not necessarily lean. Like, of course, it's a wrestling match, but we wanted to really convey like how personal it was, how serious it was for both of us, and the bad blood that had been simmering for a year. So you can convey that in a traditional wrestling match, but when you're allowed to use weapons and other things like that, it's kind of a lot easier to tell that story.
Oh, for sure. And one thing you left out in all of that was, after the, I believe the second match was Ivory Mania.
Yeah, that was wild. That was wild. To hear that chanted during the match was insane. Um, to just have that support is wild because when it's so different being in the crowd versus being in the ring. When you're in the ring, it's like you hear the crowd, but you also don't.
Yeah.
But this time, like, I think I really heard the crowd because I've never gotten chants like that before. I've never, never that loud, never that invested. So I think that lit a fire in me as well, and also kind of proved to me, like, okay, not only can I do this, but I can make people feel something. And as a wrestler, that's kind of the most important thing besides the moves. Can you make people feel something?
Oh, for sure. And, especially coming out of the pandemic where, there were no fans in the crowd. And
Oh,
now
God.
you get, those applause and that love from the crowd.
It's different for us. We didn't have the Thunderdome, of course, but
Yes.
for a lot of shows, I'm sure you're familiar. Like if you watch people in NXT talk about their experience, they talk about student shows. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And a student show is basically where you just put on a wrestling match, but it's instead of for a crowd of fans, it's a crowd of your peers. The other students, the other trainees and coaches, etc. That's kind of how the pandemic was, and I don't know. I feel like that was a little harder because these are people who know how to wrestle. These are people who know the ins and outs. These are people who know the secrets, air quotes secrets. So, they know everything that they're seeing. So to get them to react means a whole lot because that means, like, despite them knowing everything, that means that you're doing something right because you got them to react in a favorable way. So it was different because now with the fans, because when you wrestle in front of your peers, it's more so about showing your skill, your ability, and I've been listening to training. I listening in training and putting that stuff into practice versus wrestling in front of fans. It's not all about the technique. It's not all about the moves. It's about, again, making them feel something. So it's a different audience.
Right. Now, you have mentioned, a CCW show coming up. What's it mean to you going back to, obviously, your home, for lack of a better term, with, two titles attached to you now?
Woo, that means a lot. It really does because one thing about our coaches, they really encourage us to go out to other places, make the towns, make the miles. So they really encourage us to not only go out and work other places, but also to go learn from other places. So to know, oh, I forgot to add this, and it goes into this too. That match where I won the Imperial World Championship was my 3-year wrestling anniversary. So, like, that was a big deal to me. That was a really big deal to me. And I think most importantly, it shows to me, I'm more concerned about my peers because my coaches have done it.
What?
I'm more so concerned with my peers getting to see, my brothers and my sisters at CZW that, hey, you can go out there and you can do it. You don't have to be a finished product. You don't have to be the best in the world. All you have to do is be good at what you do, and somewhere, there's a promotion and a promoter that's going to believe in that, that's going to love that, and that's going to want to showcase it. So, I can do it, and, I have a crazy busy work schedule. I don't get to go to training as much. I still have a lot to learn. I'm like, if I can do it, and, you're obviously way better in the ring than I am, then you can definitely do it too.
Alright. And we are being joined by Kaliko Yachts. A little late to the party, but is here.
Hey man, I was here on time. It's just I was like, dang, I ain't heard from nobody but my man Theo. What's going on, my man?
What up? What up?
What is going on? How have you been?
Oh, good. Busy. Trying to figure this out.
I know. I think we all try to figure out this life thing out, right? And I came in at right when you were talking about it was like a journey in your. And to me, I always think about it in the term of progress over perfection, right?
Yeah.
So, what was that moment in your journey as you're doing, like making the rounds and getting the miles, where it became apparent that it was like the progress is imperative over the perfection, like the biggest challenge?
I think it was two things. I think the first thing was I went to Canada for the first time in May. That was also my first time out of the country. So I wrestled in Canada, and I was actually a replacement. And I was a replacement, and it was a tag team match. Did the match, and the promoter was like, hey, this is like literally after the match. I wasn't even like changed yet. He's like, hey, we're having a Pride show in July, and I want you on it. I was like, okay, sure. Because I went to Canada, and the wrestling there is very different. It's very different. So to go somewhere where everything is so different, and for me to be so different, and then to feel that was, to me, it's not about perfection, because obviously I'm not the best wrestler. Only been doing this for 3 years, but I've made progress in areas such as like my confidence, knowing what works for me in the ring and sticking to that. And then when I had the match with Hex on June 4th, which is our second match for the Imperial title, and that match, like I was saying earlier, I think it showed people that I could wrestle, and it showed me that, like, wow, I can really do this. And sometimes we don't, and sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. Things like that, it shows your progress, because I've watched all my matches back. I have like a crap ton of clips on my phone, so I'm always like looking back at stuff, and I'm looking at stuff from like 2020. I'm like, oh dear God, and I'm looking at myself in 2022, and I'm like, wow, like I've made so much progress. And then you go to training, and they're like, okay, let's do this, and you're like, oh my God, I'm struggling. So it's like you're never gonna achieve perfection in pro wrestling, because it's impossible to know everything.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to be that person that says, oh, I'm the best wrestler or I'm the greatest wrestler, I like to say I'm a wrestler that's always learning. And the person who's always learning never stops improving.
Nice. I think that's the biggest part of it, because I think most people kind of get caught up into being the perfect move or the perfect set or the perfect match. And I think in wrestling we kind of forget the ability to improvise when things doesn't go don't go the right way, and that ties into psychology. But you did have a match with the Hex. I swear, I'm probably one of the bigger Sienna fans here. And how was that like?
No,
Just to
it
follow
wasn't
up.
the
Sorry.
Hex. It was Hyena Hex.
Oh, jeez, I was about to say because I saw
No,
you
but
with
they
the
were there
Hex.
though.
I
They
saw
were
you with
there.
the Hex, and I was like, "Them my girls." I ain't gonna lie, they are underrated as hell. And did they give you any pointers and tips as far as psychology of wrestling? Because Sienna, I think, she's underrated in the sense that she's really good with the psychology.
You know what's so funny that you brought that up? We were talking in the locker room, and because I had seen them in Dallas at the Impact pay per view. It was like the multiverse of matches thing.
Yes.
Yep.
I was there for that, like helping set up and stuff. So I had seen them, but it was more like a "Hey, girl, see you later," like good to see you. But this time I actually really got to talk to. Oh, and I also saw Allison in Tampa. I always seem to run into Allison during WrestleMania season. Never get to talk to her, but so it's weird. We got to do the show together, and I said, "Okay, I got to talk to both of y'all." I was like, to see where like our careers started is like kind of wild to see you now because I remember like when Marty was with the Dollhouse and Sienna first had came in, which I think was like 2014 or something. I was like,
Yeah.
but I remember that, and to see the growth and to see you guys here, and booked and busy. For me, they didn't have to say anything. It was just seeing them, and they looked happy. They were in good spirits. So that said to me is like, hey, it doesn't matter where you are in terms of promotions, as long as you enjoy what you're doing, that's what matters. And that they did say that too, but you could see that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, can you tell us about your tag team partner, Wyndham James Windorf the Dog? And what's a pet peeve about him that you just don't understand?
Wyndham's pet peeve are everything. Everything is yeah. He doesn't like anything. He doesn't like anyone except the Queen.
Not even Theo Ivory, the King of T-Time?
I don't know,
Well, I
but no,
mean,
Wyndham. But no, he's a great guy. He's a veteran in this business. He has a lot of experience, and you mentioned psychology, which is one of my most important aspects of any match. He is so good at that. So when the matches are called, I really kind of am a student. I sit back and I listen, and I did that because I'm obviously in a tag team with someone who's been wrestling longer than I've had facial hair. So he knows what he's doing, and the reactions in his matches are insane. So I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about. So let me shut up, sit back, and listen, and of course, provide my input or what I think would enhance the match if I feel necessary. But for the most part, I really just sit back and listen and am a student.
and that's interesting because you are, tag team champions with him, the GWA. And you did get those titles. You've been tag team champions for just around 100 days now. How did that give winning those tag team championships? How did that give you confidence going into capturing your first singles championship as well?
I think it gave me confidence in the sense of someone believes in me. Whenever a promotion decides to make you their champion for whatever division it is, they believe that you have, you can, whatever vision they have for that division, they believe you can make it happen. And they believe that you have what it takes to carry that division and make it something. And if there's like a legacy in that division, you have what it takes to continue that legacy. So that meant a lot to me. That meant a lot, a lot, a lot.
Okay. Kaliko, you have a question. Oh, you have two Kalikos now.
I think for some odd reason,
magic.
Usually we lose Kaliko. Like he wasn't never really here to begin with, but now we have two. It's kind of weird. Kaliko, can you hear us? You're mute, I believe.
I swear it gets to the point where I feel like I die and come back on the show.
Oh, and we lost him again.
Oh no, you didn't lose me. Yeah. He understands the assignment. Theo understands the assignment. I always gotta have my kid, and he wants me to teach him to play basketball while I'm sitting here interviewing. So it never stops. So go ahead while I deal with him.
Oh, okay. Alright, so can you tell us about your tea time interview with Nyla Rose?
That was funny. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. So that, oh my god, what season of Tea Time was that? Was that 2 or 3? I think it was 3. Yeah, 3. That I call that the COVID season. Yeah, I call that the COVID season. So I was actually in Georgia with my sister for about like 6 or 7 months, and my sister had 2 kids under 2, so like I wanted to go train with AR Fox and stuff, but I didn't feel like the risk of COVID was like worth it. Training and filming and stuff. So I was like, all right, let me try to do this. Let me do it just virtual. I reached out to Nyla, and she was like, yeah, of course. And we put it together, and I think at that time she was gearing up to challenge Sheeta for the AEW Women's Championship. They had
Eliminator tournament.
Yeah, they had a big match coming up. Oh, I think Sheeta was the champion at the time, and they had the tournament. Yeah, there you go. So, we got to put that in there, and we just got to have like a fun interaction. She got to, of course, do her Nyla-isms that we all know and love. But it was really awesome. It was really awesome, and it meant a lot. It means a lot when people are on television every week. They have these contracts, but they still remember where they came from.
Right.
So that meant that meant the world to me more than anything. That hey, this girl's killing it every week, and here I am, with my little show, and she's like, sure. Like, absolutely. So it was fun. I would love to do a better produced one. Where we could have like a nice set. We're actually together, and really to get to play off each other again. I think that would be really fun. So I would love to run it back with
Oh, for
better
sure.
production.
And it does seem like season 4, which we're currently in, it's getting some production value in CCW. You got a sign and some more extras as well. And interesting enough, a lot of them were primarily in front of a live crowd, no?
Yeah, so Dojo Wars came back, yay. So I think I first started with Ruthless Lala, and we did it it was Garrett Diaz, excuse me, he was first. Then with Ruthless Lala, we did it in like our little media room that we have at the dojo. And it just looks way better aesthetically. And then when we brought back Dojo Wars, I believe in April, we brought it back. When we brought back Dojo Wars, it was like, okay, let's start doing tea time in front of the live audience. And I kind of love that too because I love in ring segments. I love in ring segments because wrestling is great, but I'm like sitting through 2 hours of straight wrestling is kind of exhausting.
Right.
Let's break it up. Let's let people laugh. Let's let people. It just breaks up the show and it gives it a little bit of a variety. And I think that is kind of what I really like now. It's like, of course, it looks way better on camera. But when you have audience interactions now, it kind of just makes the show even more fun.
We talked last time, about how the running gag of season 1 was everybody just got up and left after before the interview ended. The ones that always caught my eye were the Mother Endless ones because it always ended in some horrific violence.
I know, I love her. I love her. Those are actually my favorite ones too. Because I love like supernatural things. So I think the first one we did it with like, the lights went out and then she appeared, and the editors at the time, they were able to add like a little smoke effect. It was just so cool. You get to play with those little things that you don't necessarily get to do with everyone else.
Right, because, Mother Endless is kind of, living the gimmick, so to speak.
Oh yeah, she lives that gimmick, brother.
Alright, Kaliko, are you done teaching your son basketball? I feel like I'm interviewing Kaliko now.
And I think that kid's the boss.
We're never done teaching him basketball. And plus, yeah, because I'm gonna let y'all know right now, and I think Theo can understand. Little black kids got the biggest mouths, and they be writing the biggest checks that they ass can't cash. I don't know what it
And
is.
they be quiet the whole time. The minute I get on the goddamn phone, now you want to.
Oh, exactly. See, he understands the black struggle. Of course, of course. And speaking, go back to Dallas. Me and you were actually at an event, and I recalled my um, side of the story, perspective wise, and I was trying to figure out if you could give your perspective
Oh,
of
this
this
sounds
event.
messy. Oh, is this tea time now? Ooh.
No, it's something a little bit more. Well, we're definitely spilling the tea, right, Kaliko?
Yeah, I spilled a little tea at this
Go
event
ahead,
because
give it to me, give it to me.
the word on the street is that you were because you were in Dallas WrestleMania weekend. I was in Dallas WrestleMania weekend, and I actually got to talk with Alice again, but she was a sweetheart, you know. But the event in question is WaleMania.
Oh my god. Oh my god. What a
So,
night.
yeah, exactly.
So
So,
what's everything?
give your perspective so I can compare it with my perspective, so we can blend this story together.
Okay, like on what part? It was a lot of moving parts.
See, my moving part was that I actually had to sneak into Wale Mania. That I actually snuck in from the back through Wale Mania, and the fact
Uh-uh.
that yeah, I had to sneak my way back in through the back, and they had a loaded dock where they couldn't tell who was coming from who, so you had like JTG ready to whoop somebody ass from the back.
Oh my gosh, I felt like, okay, I'm giving y'all exclusive tea right now.
Alright.
I tried to sneak on the loading dock. Because this was before like the party really got started. So I was like, how you get to the stage? How you get on stage? And they were like, through the loading dock, through the loading dock. And I was like, okay, there's no security there. I'm gonna go. And then as soon as I get back there, it's like three of them, they were there talking. And they were like, okay, well, yeah, you just gotta wait a minute. I was like, oh, okay. So let me just casually not act like I didn't just get put out of the loading dock. It was like so embarrassing, but I was like, oh, no, they said just wait here a minute, they'll be back. It was so embarrassing.
Oh man, that's better than me because it was me and these two dudes, and I had one guy from Canada, one guy from uh, Australia, New Zealand. So you know where that loading dock was, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to
Well, I
say
didn't
about
know where it was outside.
right. So outside I saw that loading dock, but there was a door that was literally I want to say about 2 meters to the left. So my guy ended up prying the door open. And while everybody was trying to deal with the security of trying to get in, he was able to pry the door open. I just booked it. We beelined it. I'm talking about when I say we beelined straight through, right? And then I got to where I got ran into, and they were like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! You can't get in here," whatever the case. And I was like, "Oh no, me and my two foreign lads, they forgot their cards, so we didn't want to. We wanted to make sure we closed the tab." Now he was like, "Oh yeah, go ahead." And he guided us to Wale Mania, but the precursor to that was that
Oh,
the
you talking
guy.
about upstairs?
Yes, we were downstairs, and
Oh.
I ended up upstairs. So I ended up upstairs. I ended up going through upstairs to the main part. Right. This story gets crazier. Right. So I'm passing the guy that was telling us at the front that we couldn't even get in. So the guy sees me. He sees me. He sees us, and he couldn't do that because we were already in. So we get to the floor, and I see they're getting ready to perform, and I'm like trying to get to the stage. I'm trying to get the VIP. So I'm like, all right, let me try to get the VIP. So my brother at the time, he was working the show, and it was funny because he was trying to get us through one way. Old guy, was like, no, you can't go through. And the moment he was busy with another wrestler, I saw a photographer hop off the stage and go through a door, right? So I go through that door. The moment I shoot through that door, I see my brother. We're literally walking through the curtain. You remember that black curtain? You
Yes,
probably
the
saw
black
like,
curtain, the black
yes,
at the top of the stairs.
yes. So you probably saw me like going through those black curtains, and then we ended up in catering and ended up in VIP.
And I mean, we could cut it down because there is a lot more to that to the story, and kind of see where your how your experience lined up with that so far, Dio.
Oh, that part was actually great. I don't even remember how I got up there. Um, but I just remember like when I got up there, I was like, oh, and I started seeing like so many of my peers, and a lot of these people I hadn't seen since Mania in Tampa. So initially, it was just like a whole bunch of hugs. Like, oh my gosh, so good to see you. Oh my God, I miss you. Oh my God, hey, oh my God, how you been? And then, the real superstars start showing up. But I think the best part about that for me was I got to see Trick Williams, because we trained together, and I hadn't seen him since he got signed.
Okay.
So I got to see Trick. That was great. It was great reunion. I got to meet AJ Francis, Top Dollar. We had, a little rapport going. So, like, it was great, to see him. Tasha Steeles. I hadn't seen Tasha in a minute. I got to see Tasha again. And I think, at this time, she was the Knockouts champion. So
Yeah, that's right.
that was, like, almost like a tearjerker moment, because I was like, girl, like, you did it. Like, you up there. Like, things like moments like that. Joe Gacy, who is responsible for the T-Time Championship, he was there with Harland. Well, Parker now. He was there with Harland. So I was like, it was so good to see Joe again. Me and his wife are like mad cool. So it was a big reunion. It was a big reunion.
I saw all of those cats too, and I saw dang, what was that? MVP was there, of course. LA Knight was there. Nash. But the funny part is, we saw Nash. I saw Nash with Gigi.
See you.
And,
See. I see all that now. I see all that now.
See, I seen all of that.
What will
But I was drunk.
What will asking Theo, did you see Gigi?
Huh?
What we're asking is, did you see Gigi?
Oh yeah, we got a picture together.
Yeah.
Me and Gigi were both trained by Jimmy Rave.
He got to see Gigi. See, he got to take a picture with Gigi. I saw Gigi, and I took a picture with Nash.
No, see, we just had like a connection because we were trained. We had the same trainer, and when he had passed away in December, we had communicated on social media. Just kind of making sure each other was okay. This is like a little Easter egg. If you go back to when Toxic Attraction first won the tag titles and that ladder match, when she's at the top of the ladder and after she wins and grabs the titles, she does Jimmy Rave's hand signal. So that's a little Easter egg for you guys. So,
ooh, nice. Now the other question is, did you get some of that Reebok merch?
No, I did not. But you know what? Let me tell you how God is good. Let me tell you how God is good, because I'd even ask my homegirl, like, girl, how I get backstage, and how I get to be a part of it, So her and another one of my homeboys that was working behind the scenes, I think they're both content creators. They were working them like dogs. And I'm sorry, I don't work on vacation. So I was like, oh, I'm good. So I'm good, because they had them running around looking for extension cords and power cables and HDMI cords and running from here to over there to yonder. I'm like, listen, I got to party and drink. So, but I
See, they
also
did
have to
the same.
realize I'm
See, they
sorry.
did the same with my brother though too, because he was in Gorilla. He was the
Uh-huh.
Gorilla dude. He was the guy before they sent him to the stage, right?
Yeah.
And they wore him to death.
Right. Right.
And I was like, hot damn, they ran his ass to death. But then when he came back with like, it was crazy because he made it worth his while. He came back with like 4 pair of shoes, like 3 T-shirts. Goddamn! I was like, hot damn, what the fuck? He out there hitting licks in the middle of working. Man.
And I would, and that's the funny thing, because I wouldn't have even, like I said, it's funny how God works, because I wouldn't have even cared, because I'm not a sneaker person. I'm like, nigga, give me some money, like something, something, give me a free ticket or something. I don't want no damn sneakers. So I'm like, it wouldn't have worked for me, and then I don't want to, I don't want to be petty, but I'm saying it. This is not everyone, but a lot of those people who were in those positions are people who only see the talent in passing or in Gorilla. Versus myself in my situation, I'm actually sitting down, putting a match together with them, or having a drink with them, or talking about the business with them. So it's a different type of interaction. So their motive, again, some people, not all. So some people's motivation was, wrestlers are celebrities. So it's like, oh my God, I just want to be close. I want to be in the mix. And I'm like, I'm already in the mix, so I don't got to work on top of that. So I was good.
All right. Well, let's go
Oh, I don't
to.
like how that sounded. That sounded kind of, oh, that didn't sound nice. That sounded a little arrogant.
I mean,
No,
you have to
it's not
respect my
arrogance.
role.
That's confidence.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I love with that preface, because I'm like, I don't want anyone to think that I'm, bragging or being cocky or anything, but like, that's kind of the reality. It's like,
Right.
they are my peers. And for some people, they may never get that close to them ever again. Versus me, I'm like, oh, that's a normal thing.
Right. No, I completely understand where you're coming from.
I had to clear that up, Chad. I'm not trying to get dragged on Twitter.
All right. Let's talk about the list of Ivory. You made a list earlier this year. And you said, within the next year, I want to wrestle in the UK, do more podcasts. Think you're checking off that one right now. Get
Yes.
signed, appear on national syndicated television, and be happy. Could we at least check off two of these so far?
One is do more podcasts, and what would be the second one that we check off?
Be happy.
No, I'm not happy yet.
Ooh, need to check off a couple more things, right?
Yeah, happiness is not a simple thing. It encompasses a lot. So, when you're happy is when you can kick your feet up and say, take that sigh, and I'm nowhere near that. So I've got a lot of work to do before I can say I'm happy.
Okay. Now, wrestle in the UK, which makes sense. Is there any promotions that you had your eye on or had been in contact with that, we could possibly see Theo in the UK soon?
I haven't been in communication with anyone yet, but I've really had my eye on progress.
Okay. And, when are we going, this was your list for the rest of the year. And I think you're really doing good on it, don't you think?
I do. I do. One thing I try not to do is put a time limitation on things. But I also know the power of manifesting.
Right.
So, I feel like if the ultimate goal is to get signed, although, I still have a lot of work to do, I could still get signed.
Oh, for sure.
People get signed and, they learn on the go. They learn on the job, or they do a development territory for a few months, or, they shadow for a few months. So I just tried to put things that I wanted, and someone told me years ago to be kinder to myself. So I put get signed on there because I'm like, why couldn't I get signed this year? There were a lot of people that were signed before, a lot of people, maybe even themselves, felt like they were ready. But they took advantage of the opportunity that they had, and, they took each opportunity they got to be in front of the crowd, the camera, in the ring, to improve and get better. So I'm like, why can't I do that too?
Oh, for sure. Now, not too long ago, I was watching a match for Empowered, and you do commentary for Empowered. Can you tell us about that relationship?
Yeah, that was great. When I first started in July 2019, I started training. Um, so on Dojo Wars, they have all the students try out all the different roles. And it's not necessarily to put you in that role, it's to get you to experience all the moving parts of a show.
Right.
And you learn to respect every single person that makes the show happen, because you get to, if you're on the camera for one show, you're like, holy shit. So while I was training, they had me do ring announcing and commentary on Dojo Wars for about, I think, 3 or 4 months. I did ring announcing and commentary on Dojo Wars, and then Empower announced that they were going on the road, and they wanted me to do commentary, and I was like, hell yeah. So that was great. I spoke with the owner a few months ago, and I think, they're putting something together. I think they're just going through like the logistics of everything, but hopefully, we'll be seeing Empower Wrestling come back soon. It was a great experience. All the ladies were amazing. A lot of the female friends I have in this business, I met on that road loop, or we were friends before that road loop, and the road loop, just made it even stronger. So I love Empower Wrestling. I'm really grateful for them.
Yeah, because I was watching and I was like, this commentator sounds so familiar. And then the other commentator was like, you have history with Mother Endless, and I was like, oh shit, that's Theo.
Yeah, oh my god, what's so funny? That's her fiance.
Okay, more history than we had expected.
Yeah.
He's fun to talk.
Yeah, and we actually all went. So that was our first road trip together. And we did a second road trip together in July last month. We went back to Canada.
Perfect. Kaliko, you have a question.
Man, you're getting a lot of damn frequent flyer miles. I'm trying to figure out how can I jump on your flight program.
First of all, who is flying?
You. Unless you're driving to Canada.
It's only 7 hours.
Oh my goodness, you are more trooper than I am. Jesus Christ.
No.
Y'all better fly my man out. Y'all better fly my man out. From here on out, we're manifesting fly out. Fly out, homie.
No, 7 hours is nothing. And yeah, it's nothing. And it's way cheaper for a company to pay gas than it is to pay for 3 flights.
You sure about that?
And when you have a car of 4 people and we're all drivers, it's not.
Y'all out here doing shifts. I feel you. I feel that.
But there were no shifts. He doesn't let people drive his car.
Do they at least let you take over the aux cord?
No, actually, they play like a bit of rock music, metal, and there were some podcasts. So it was interesting. Like it wasn't like, oh my god, turn that off. It was like, okay, I enjoy listening to different types of music, and then the podcasts that they were listening to had some of them were like infused with
I
pop
want to
culture.
know
So I was
then,
like, okay,
what
this is
was the
cool.
one thing that you first heard? You was like, "What the hell is this?" And now it's like you're obsessed with it. From them trips.
It was the first road loop that we did. So I rode down with Gabby Gilbert and Jimmy Rave, and I rode back with Mother Endless and her fiance. So when I rode down with Gabby, she's obsessed with true crime podcasts, and we had got on the road to Atlanta right after a show. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep. It's like midnight, but oh my god, they were so good. Like I couldn't fall asleep. So anytime Gabby and I do a trip somewhere or we drive to a show, it's like put on the new true crime episode.
Oh, the true crime joints! Like, oh my goodness, I think I had that at one time, like a first 48 binge.
Yeah, I think it's called Crime Junkie, and it's typically about unsolved crimes.
Okay, so there's no conclusive ending, so to speak.
Some of them do have a conclusive ending, but a lot of them are unsolved. And then what's wild is I think the last one that we did, and we were listening to something. It was actually something that happened this year. So I was like, whoa. Like that's wild. It's different when you hear something that happened 10, 20 years ago. But when they're talking about something that happened like just a few months ago, like that's wild.
Right. And, if you're traveling through whatever town you're listening about, that could be a little creepy.
Thankfully, haven't had that yet.
Have you had it where it was a scenario and you were like, "Motherfucker, I've been through that. That shit better not happen to me."
Um, Not necessarily. I mean, you hear a few domestic violence situations and you're like, damn. Like those are always the ones that get me.
Right.
The domestic violence ones are always the ones that, really grasp my attention because it's like, what made this person snap? And snap to that level?
Yes.
But
Oh,
a lot of it be some other shit. And I'm like, why the hell and what the hell? Uh-uh.
oh man, I remember one time they had a streak of those where it was like a bunch of crimes that were like in the military. It was always about trying to get that SGOI. And I was like, God damn it, why can't y'all just get a divorce and pay the alimony? Like, yeah, y'all trying to kill him and get that 500K and knowing y'all gonna get busted.
Oh yeah, like knowing they're gonna do a full government level investigation, and I'm sorry, honey, you're not that smart.
Oh yeah, I remember I heard one where it was a captain, and he was having an affair with one of his underlings' wife, and the wife tried to kill the. Yeah, it was bananas. I was like, bro, this was like Marine Corps in Camp Lejeune. I was Camp Lejeune. There's always some crazy shit going down in
This
North
is
Carolina.
ghetto.
I don't know what's in the water there. I used to be in North Carolina, so that's why I was like, thank God I got the hell out of there. But that could have been me.
Now, can you tell us about your new column?
Ooh, so I have a few things in the works that I'm working on. One of them is the column. I'm also revamping the whole tea time thing. So I'm going through some like logistical changes with that to make it more of a presentation.
Okay.
But so the column is gonna feed into that because I want to do like a call-in thing or um, like a Twitter thing, like inbox your situation, DM your situation. We'll talk about it on the air, things like that. When I was in college, I went to Virginia State. Um, Anyone who knows me knows I'm obsessed with Charmed, and I had like this weird kind of connection with Ask Phoebe, and I was like, I want to do that. And at the time, I don't know if you guys listen to Steve Harvey in the morning.
Strawberry
But
letter.
yes,
I knew
yes,
that's what I kind of figured you were going with it because I was like,
yeah,
it sounds like it's going to be kind of like the wrestling version of the strawberry letter, and that would be
yes.
crazy.
Yes. So I started doing that in college and it was awesome. Like it was awesome. I was in the school paper every month with the column and it was great because there were scenarios where in college you go through a lot of scenarios and sometimes they're stupid scenarios because you're still learning. You're just came into adulthood. You're still learning yourself. You're still learning what you will accept or won't accept, and you're just learning so much. And sometimes you don't want to sit in front of someone and tell them like what happened because sometimes you feel stupid or you don't want to be that vulnerable. So for people to have anonymity when expressing themselves and saying like I'm going through this and I don't know what to do and I don't want to talk to my friends about it. I don't want to talk to like my mom about it because they're going to judge me or judge the scenario. Like I don't know what should I do. So I felt like our people need that. They need someone who's going to listen to them and not judge them and kind of, I don't want to say advise because it's not advice. It's just a different perspective. And sometimes it helps to have that perspective from someone who doesn't know you because unfortunately people who know you are going to judge you. They're going to be like, oh, well, you remember when and remember this time. And sometimes people don't want to hear that. They just want to hear, for this incident in and of itself, how should I handle it? What do you think? And I think people gravitate towards that because sometimes they hear a little bit of themselves and someone else's story. And I think it's just a better way to connect with, your audience, whoever that may be.
You mentioned the charm. I'm thinking you're referring to the TV show.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes. So could you
the
tell us
TV show.
about your love of Charm and did you accept the reboot version?
First of all, it's Team Prue all day, every day of the week, every day of the year, period. It's always going to be Team Prue. I just had to make that declaration. Um, I liked the reboot. I really did. I understand there were a lot of people who weren't fans of it, and I think that's just because there were so many things left unresolved with the original Charmed. Um, like we were literally robbed of Prue. Like Prue was taken from us, and we never got that reunion with the sisters. We never, her appearing as a spirit, as a ghost. Like, we never got that final goodbye to Prue.
Right.
And then to see they're doing a whole reboot, and then it's almost as if the Hollowells never existed. That is probably my only issue with it. They should have, like, that's the only thing that, like, grinds my gears about the reboot. Like, how do you completely dismiss and disregard the OGs?
Right, and that's always been my biggest pet peeve when they do things like that. And with so charm that was so unresolved, and you're making a reboot, why not give the people what they want? You know what I mean?
We call that paying homage, son.
Exactly. You know, I'm like, y'all could have had them for one episode.
Right.
One episode. Something. Even if it's like, I don't know, it's just so many things that go into it. You know, the actresses even stated, like, you know, they weren't approached about the reboot, so, you know, whoever the creators are, they were like, yeah, F them, we don't need them. And I'm like, and I hate to say it, I'm like, well, that's why y'all don't have no viewership.
And I believe it got canceled, so you're right on that?
Yeah, he's right. He is right. They didn't pay homage, so we gotta go, son.
And I'm like, even if you didn't have the new three sisters, y'all could have at least had Prue. Let her be like the a guardian or something. Have her come in a flashback or something. You know what? Damn it! Give Shannon Doherty a check.
All right. Kaliko, you have a colossal question.
Well, see, we've already done a soundtrack with our guy.
No, we haven't.
You know, we have. Cause I remember he was all about Nikki and Remy, son. I remember the five. See, I keep everybody's shit on a playlist, and I'm trying to create an ultimate playlist of everybody's top 5 favorite songs. See, I know that guy. See, I got his 5.
No, you don't.
I don't have your 5.
You definitely don't. You would
I
never
know
get
you.
my 5.
Oh hell no! Now I'm feeling so disappointed. See, I was about to give this whole montage about how it's important, and I'm glad that you're speaking up as a ambassador for Black therapy within the Black community, because we always get those motherfuckers that be like, "If I wouldn't let that shit happen to me, though," and then motherfuckers go do shit, and then the other motherfucker be like, "Well, I didn't tell you to do it." See, I feel that. See, I feel your call, so that's why I was like, okay, that kind of spoke to my spirit a little bit. But
But
now
not the music spirit.
So since we're gonna get to the music spirit, now it's time for this. We usually do three. Well, we usually do 3, but I'm gonna do 5. I'm gonna do 5 for you. 5, 5. We're gonna do 5. So up until now, the 5 songs that best encapsulates your wrestling journey up until this point.
Oh, my wrestling journey. Wow. Hmm. Damn it. So I think you might have one on me. All right. You said Nikki, but I don't know if you're gonna guess the song.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to go in the Rolodex.
So I'm gonna have to go with "Moment for Life."
Okay, that's one.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with. Ooh, you're making me think. Hold on.
If you need more time to think, we can go on to another question.
Yeah, let me think on that one.
Alright, maybe something a little bit more easier. What's your spirit Pokemon?
Oh, my baby is Raichu. For life.
Raichu.
Raichu.
I mean, we get
For life.
For life, yeah. We get Pikachu all the time, but I don't think we've gotten Raichu before.
No, Raichu for life. It was, oh my gosh, I was like 10, and I saw the gym battle Ash had with Surge, and it was Pikachu versus Raichu. I was like, I love Raichu, and I've like loved Raichu ever since that day.
Okay, I think I remember that episode where Raichu just wipes the floor with Pikachu, and they considered it was a big episode because they were considering evolving Pikachu into a Raichu.
Yeah, nah, Pikachu got smoked.
Yeah, that he did. I don't believe I've asked you this, and it is the weirdest question you will be asked on a wrestling podcast. Would you ever consider wrestling a rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual rock.
No. Well, it depends on how big the Rock is.
I mean,
and can the Rock kick out?
The Rock can kick out.
Shit.
It's about the size of a shoe, I would say.
Nope, not doing it.
Right.
I'll take a count out.
Well, for context, there's this wrestler named Psycho Mike that wrestled an actual Rock for over 15 minutes in what was called a Tungsten Man match, an Iron Man match that lasted for 2 weeks.
I'm gonna pray for him.
Well, I mean, you should. He didn't win the match. We love Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Thug? THUG.
No.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, because a thug can't spell.
Ooh.
Yeah, love.
Where is that from?
Tracy Smothers.
Gonna have to YouTube that.
Oh, that would be great.
Oh yeah, he was an unsung guy. Like, I mean, he's good in the community, but he was unsung, especially in the South. It was just crazy how he used to.
Yeah, no, I gotta YouTube that.
Yeah, trying to keep the memory of Tracy Smothers alive on the show. Alright, have you thought of any more songs?
I have.
Alright, let's get into it.
Control by Janet Jackson.
Okay, that's 2, I believe.
Yes.
Control, okay. Okay.
We got 2.
Number 3, I'm gonna say Focus by Ashanti.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
We got 3.
Number 4. Oh my god, I forgot who sings this song. I think it's Royce the 5'9". Have either of y'all played Grand Theft Auto 3?
No.
Grand Theft Auto 3. I believe I played it. It's been a while.
There was this song, and we gonna give us all that we have. And my spot keep rising to the top. All my niggas keep rising to the top.
I'm the king.
I think that's Royce the 5'9". I don't know the name of the song.
Yep, I'm the king, Royce the 5'9".
I love that song. And then I am going to say Champion by Nicki Minaj. And I'm going to say that one because It also has Nas and Cameron on it.
Yep.
And being from New York, like their verses go hard as hell, and it's kind of a song about just celebrating our greatness as
Ooh.
people, what we've accomplished, and I think that's important to always not only celebrate yourself but celebrate those around you, and I'm really big on that.
Yes, you are. That was on the Pink Print album.
No, the second one, Roman Reloaded.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
God, that album was so good.
Now you got 5 solid songs down.
So he's got Focus Ashanti, Champion Nikki, Moment of Life Nikki, I'm the King, Royce the 5'9", and the final one I'm missing. Unless I'm missing
Control.
it. Control by Janet Jackson. There we go. Locked it in.
I didn't realize how much of a Nicki fan I was.
I was about to ask you, Nikki or Cardi, because they're kind of beefing right now. It feels like they've been like an 8-year beef. It's kind of tearing New
I'm
York
not gonna.
apart.
I don't choose sides. Only reason why I don't choose sides. Well, let me say this. If we want to talk about how people are acting, I'm gonna go with Cardi because the proof is in the pudding. When this person is always doing collaborative projects with other female artists and you don't, that kind of says a lot. But I'm also not going to discount the. I have all of Nicki's albums, and I'm not going to discount, the love that I have for her music and her art. And we come from literally the same neighborhood, a few blocks apart from each other. So for someone to actually, it's not just her. 50 Cent's from the same neighborhood too. LL Cool J's from the same neighborhood. So when people are from our hood
Ooh.
and they make it to like out of the stratosphere, it shows us that it is possible. And I think that's the most important thing. And I think people need to see that. People
True.
need to see that it is possible to become an international superstar. It is possible to, become one of the most respected artists in music and then make a successful transition into film. People need to see that. Like, yeah, you can come from the hood and become that person. It is possible.
Alright.
That's
Now,
what's up.
more on, you. Could you tell us about Tea Time Meal Prep?
Yes. So what that is, like as wrestlers, the thing that we have the least of is time.
Yes.
And when you don't have a lot of time, that means there's less time for you to cook. And it's less time for you to consume healthy meals because if you don't have a lot of time and you're constantly on the go, you're not necessarily thinking about eating healthy all the time. You're thinking about, I have to eat, I'm hungry. So, Tea Time Meal Prep is going to be a meal prep company exclusively for wrestlers. Um, that pretty much does what every other meal prep company does. Provides them with healthy meals that are already prepared. You just got to warm them up. I do plan on making them a little bit cheaper than average meal prep companies.
Well, that's good.
Simply because like that's also a challenge
Right.
when you're trying to do business with a meal prep company. Oftentimes their prices are just ridiculous, and it's like, well, damn.
Definitely. You. That is, the price is usually the deciding factor for a lot of people. But you know, I do want to ask, what brings you to dip your toe into so many pools and still balance everything? Because mealtime, the column,
Well, you
wrestling.
have a little static, James.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's just you have some static in your background.
Oh, good time. What I was asking was, what brings you to dip your toe into so many pools and still balance everything? Because mealtime, the column, wrestling, you have a book, books, acting. So how do you balance all of that?
It's something that I work on every day. Um, Work-life balance is very difficult. For the longest time, I've always had the belief that if you want to do something, do it. Just because you're a wrestler doesn't mean you can't do this. Just because you're a wrestler doesn't mean you can't do that. So for me, what I've learned is you put it out there because putting it out there is a way of holding myself accountable to make sure that it's something that I follow through with. And the balancing thing, you kind of just learn as you go. You kind of learn, okay, so if I'm booked every weekend, when do I have the free time to work on something else? So then that's why I started actually utilizing my calendar. I put everything on my calendar now. And there are some things now that I have to turn down because I'm like, hey, this is, my only free weekend of the entire month. I need this weekend for myself. So that's the main thing that I say that I've been doing is making sure that I at least have one weekend to myself where I can rest, I can recharge, and brainstorm on whatever is the next plan or the next idea.
Oh, interesting.
I think that.
Any last questions, Felicia?
Have you been listening to Jordan Peterson? Because I swear that sounds like a Jordan Peterson reference. And ever since I started doing that with my stuff, like it's the same thing. It's like a calendar is like your best friend. Like,
I don't even know who George Peterson is, um, but I'm a very reflective person. Like I sit and think a lot, and I'm like, okay, how do you get yourself organized? A calendar, that's what that's for. Okay, so we knock that out of the way, and then you tackle something else. I've learned that you can't tackle everything at once. So I kind of sometimes I go with what's the most attainable or what's the most urgent that needs to be handled, right now. So prioritizing has been something that I'm working on as well. I haven't mastered it yet, but I feel like we all want things in the future. We all have goals, things that we want, but a lot of us aren't honest with ourselves in the sense of, okay, so if you, let's say, getting signed, everybody wants to get signed. Let's say Triple H called you right now with a contract. Are you ready for that? Are you ready for that discipline of having to be on the road 3 to 4 days a week? Leaving the show, an arena at 11 p.m. and then having to drive 3 hours to the next town. Are you ready for that? Are you ready for changing your public persona? Because now, like with our Twitter and our social media, for all intents and purposes, we can kind of say whatever we want. But when you're under contract, you can't. You kind of have to censor yourself. Are you ready for that? Are you ready for the lifestyle change? And if the answer is no, well then okay, then it's time to get ready.
I feel like you've been picking my brain because I've been like that the same way as over the last year, and it's just crazy like how that happens. It's more of a, and it is like a mind shift, discipline type of thing. It is honestly, it's just a whole mind shift and changing how you perceive not only yourself but other things. But see, I got all serious now, but. All right, I hope to see you at WaleMania in LA. I'm planning on paying for my ticket this time.
Oh no, you will see me because this year the experience was just
Crazy.
incredible. Everyone was just, it was great vibes, it was great energy, and sometimes I needed that. Like my spirit needed that, and
That's
to
cool. I'm
see
glad.
and to be around so many people who are at that level that you want to be at, but you feel like I'm not even partying with superstars right now. I'm with peers. That was a great feeling, and it always taught me to, just have a humility. Always be humble in this industry and in this business.
Oh yeah, so true. And I kind of got that vibe in a sense as well when I was kind of like, because me, I was more as the fan, but it was also more like the respectful fan, right? Because when you see people of their peers, especially when that was like the first one kind of since the whole COVID thing. So kind of made it seem like, being able to observe that and see like how actually everyone kind of actually really do root for each other as, without all the crazy beef and drama. But when other people see other people succeed and it's like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you type of deal, it changes everything.
And I think we can thank the wrestling business for that, because I feel like that's a recent change.
Yes.
Because lately it seems like, because before, in order to get signed, you had to be this polished, ready to go. But nowadays it's like, hey, anyone can get signed as long as you're coachable, you listen, and you're able to learn, the ropes, so to speak. So I think for a lot of us, it's taken that envy pill away from a lot of people,
Right.
because now it's remember, this is back in the day. Remember, you had to know somebody who worked for the company who would show your tape to talent relations. Like that's how you got in. But
Hmm.
nowadays, it's like, a person can just say, "Oh, I want to bring this person in." You have someone vouch for you, or someone sees your work on the internet. They're like, "Hey, this is a great person." So it's much easier. It's not as closed off as it used to be to get in the door.
More than one way.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than one way to get in the door now. So I think everyone has, instead of looking around and saying, I should be there, fuck that person. Now it's like, oh wait, I can be there too. Let me do what I gotta do so that I get seen. And it's pushing people to work harder now.
Yeah,
Yep.
that I will say. Amen on that.
That does bring me to my next question. Let's say 1 year from now, we do this again. Um, what's the goal for the next year that you have to do that you would say I won't be satisfied within this year unless I do dot dot dot.
I would say within the next year, I will have the discipline factor under control in terms of, diet, training consistently, going to the gym, or, whatever equivalent that I can find. But in a year's time, like, I would definitely like to say I have the discipline that I've been working so hard to obtain.
Alright. And since we're nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of Doom Part 2.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
All new, all Doomier, with 50% more Doom. This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready, Theo?
I am.
Excluding your own greatest match of all time.
Oh, Trish versus Lita Raw 2004 Women's Championship.
Ooh, the
Change the
main
game.
event.
The main event.
Change the game.
Worst match of all time.
Say it again.
Worst match of all time.
Ooh. I guess we could say that match.
Which one?
Trish and Bradshaw versus Jackie Gata and some guy. That match,
Ooh.
yeah.
Yeah. That one. Alright, you're the captain of a Survivor Series team. Which 4 wrestlers do you pick as your teammates?
I'm assuming this is like, okay, I'm like on the roster right now.
Anybody that you want on your
Any wrestler
in the,
that you
in the
want on
ring,
your Survivor Series
dead,
team.
alive, current, past.
Okay, so I have to pick men, so I'm gonna go with...
Not necessarily.
I'm just gonna go with men, because I feel like if you do a mixed Survivor Series thing, it's gonna be so convoluted.
Alright, fine.
So I definitely want... I want Brock Lesnar.
Mm.
I want Bobby Lashley.
Okay.
I want Kurt Angle.
Okay.
Okay.
Seth Rollins.
Alright.
And Shelton Benjamin.
Ooh, what would you name that team?
The Melting Pot.
Well, we know you're going for the win with a monster team like that.
Yeah, I call it the Melting Pot because I have so many different styles. So you have the powerhouses, you have the technicians, you have the workhorses. So you kind of have all your bases covered.
Yeah.
Playing no games with that team.
Nope.
Alright. Now you're on a 10-hour car ride. You can only listen to one wrestling theme song. What do you choose?
Oh, dear God. For 10 hours?
Yes.
I'm going to say my current theme song, which is Layla's Nasty Girl.
Oh, okay. Alright. You get a call from Vince McMahon. He says, hey pal, we're gonna bring you in, you're getting a big fat contract. You're going to defeat Roman for the Universal WWE Championship, and you're going to go on a run even longer than his. However, your name has to be Sunset Tuna. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Alright. Connecticut is the Nutmeg State. WWE headquarters is located in Stamford. Was there enough room for Jack to sit next to Rose on the door in the movie Titanic?
That bitch, Rose.
Selfish bitch. Selfish ass bitch.
They could have traded places. They could have swapped. 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off. They could have sat on the bitch together. I don't care. The bitch was selfish.
Of course that's the
They could have both held onto the door and let their feet dangle in the water. Bitch.
Finish the sentence.
She only did that because she knew Jack ain't had no money.
Oh. I feel like this was a hot button issue for you.
Jack had that pipe though.
Listen, she was going back. Listen, she was going back to the real world. Okay, good pipe don't equal good money. He ain't got no money. She had money. She can't take no broke man home.
Who said that she made it back home?
She did make it home.
The end of the movie suggested she made it back home.
Yep.
I mean, she made it home with Jack in the ballroom when she died.
No, there was no lady at the end. It was Rose.
I know. And Rose dropped a little gem and thing, and that was her mimicking herself dying and letting go. And
Alright, finish the sentence. People are fake. Wrestling is
real.
And the last question.
Shit hurts.
The thing everybody wants to know since the last time you were on. Have you had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No.
And that is the correct answer.
I know. I feel like I'm the only one that kind of asked that question, and someone asked me if he owed me money when I showed him his photo.
And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much, Theo, for
Yeah, I
coming
don't
in
go to
doing this.
supermarkets anymore. I use Instacart.
Ah, so you
Ah.
can't even go into a supermarket to ask because you're just skipping the middleman.
Yeah, no, Instacart for me. And then even if someone tried to bring that up, I'd be like, I mean, what about him?
They might chat it to him as he's filling his card out. inbox message. How about that Darby Allin kid?
No, I mean they can. It's just I don't have anything bad to say about him. I don't know him. I like his finisher.
The Last Supper?
No, coffin drop.
Oh, coffin drop.
Unassisted
And it's
football is
nice to
what I
see a
call it.
smaller person get the type of push he had. He had that title for a while, and they put him on a really good run. So it's nice to see, someone of smaller stature get that type of push in a major company.
Oh, for sure.
But I don't really know too much about him to even have a conversation.
No, fair enough. And that's why we asked the question. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with us, Theo.
Thank you for having me, guys.
And
Again.
Yeah, with a second spot of tea, of course. Once again, could you tell us where we can find you on social media and your merchandise and everything related to Theo Ivory?
Yes, on Twitter, Instagram, _Theo Ivory. And there's a link in my bio that takes you to all of my links, that being my social media, Facebook, my Amazon books, and my merchandise that you can purchase from What a Maneuver.
Alright, and of course, all of those links will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Simply click the link, you will be on a new page. You have no excuses. You've been listening to him for just over an hour and a half by a damn short.
Fuck the shirt. He got several things. If you're hungry, he can get you a meal. If you need some reading, he got books for you. If you want some clothes, he got the clothes for you. He pretty much got you covered.
Oh, for sure.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Theo's
I
got your
mean,
back.
he got everything except a coffin for you. I'm just saying. Hook him up.
And soon, hopefully very soon, I'll have tea for everybody.
Ooh, need to pre-order that. for sure.
Ooh, tell me, you that tea will be out before you get to LA.
That is a very good and practical timeline, my friend.
Ooh, we're gonna have to link up when you get to LA. You.
Oh, definitely.
I'm gonna be there
Definitely.
too. Don't exclude me from this. I want some tea with Theo.
There's enough tea to go around.
There you go. Of course, if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment on our YouTube and Castbox. Of course, this was sponsored by World Energy and KO Coffee, the sponsors of Wrestling Entertainment. Join us join us tomorrow, actually, as we interview the Bi-Furious, Cameron Saturn. Wednesday, the 17th, we got Kit Osborne, and the 24th, we got Spencer Love of Love for Wrestling. So that's your August as of this recording. Check our Twitter page at WrestleWithe for more information on more upcoming interviews as we get the information. Of course, links to those interviews when they'll be dropping, etc., etc. And of course, you can find us on Instagram as well at WrestlingWithe. You can follow me at JamesJ993. Where can we find Kaliko?
Hopefully, you'll find me actually buying WaleMania tickets that actually not sneaking this time at I Am Kalika.
And you can find Scooter at Scooter Dust, of course, on the remix for only live alternative commentary for WWE special events, a Spacecast. Of course, you can follow him on the Smoking Dragons Twitch stream as well. Alright, Dio, when I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment. Are you ready?
I am.
For always special guest Theo Ivory, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust. I'm James Shea, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment.
Hey, folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.